You're in a board meeting. The strategy that was set in stone 6 months ago is crumbling. The market is shifting. Your team is anxious. And you feel that old familiar tight knot in your solar plexus. Most leadership advice tells you to be unshakable, to be the serene monk in the middle of the storm. But here's the problem. That's not just unrealistic. It's the performance that is exhausting you. Today I'm going to show you why trying to stay calm is actually making you more reactive, and how the world's most effective leaders use a completely different psychological map to navigate complexity without fragmenting. Hi, I'm Pietro Pazzi, a leadership depth coach with 3 decades of leadership experience. Most people misunderstand what it means to be centered. They think it's a permanent statue, like a statue that never moves. But in the VUCA world, you know what I mean? Volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. That kind of rigidity actually makes you brittle. You don't need to be a statue. You need to be a high-performance suspension system. Centered leadership isn't about never losing your cool. It's about your speed of return. It's the gap between the moment you get hooked by a political tension or a missed target and the moment you regain access to the highest thinking. If that gap is 3 days, you're in trouble. If it's 3 minutes, you're a master. We're moving from the idea of staying centered to the practice of returning to center, consciously and quickly. To do this, we have to look at the hardware. Your brain is not a neat set of modules. It's a choir, and right now the environment is screaming at it. When you face complexity, your amygdala, your brain's smoke alarm, it flags uncertainty as a physical threat. It doesn't know the difference between a predator and a pivot in a company strategy. When it fires, it hijacks your prefrontal cortex. That part of you that is responsible for logic, nuance, and air traffic control. This is why, when the pressure is on, you find yourself leaning on old blunt habits, micromanaging, snapping at the colleagues, or oversimplifying complex problems. The key insight here is that you aren't failing as a leader. Your nervous system is just doing what it was built to do. Prioritize protection over growth. The moment you realize, this is a nervous system pattern, not a personal flaw, you create the space needed to lead again. There's a concept in psychosynthesis called disidentification. Think of a transformation leader I worked with just recently. Let's call him David. David was facing conflicting demands from shareholders, political infighting in his executive team, and a series of moving targets. He felt like things were just falling apart. We worked on a simple shift. I have these feelings, but I am not these feelings. Most leaders are so fused with their stress. They are the anxiety. But when you step back into what we call the observer, you realize you are the one witnessing the chaos. This isn't just mindfulness. This is an act of will. It's about reclaiming your seat at the head of the table of your own mind. When David started saying, a part of me is anxious about the board meeting, instead of I am anxious, he stopped fragmenting. He became the container for the complexity rather than being drowned by it. So the $1,000,000 question, how do you actually hold steady when everything is moving? You use bifocal vision. As a senior leader, you have to track 2 things simultaneously. Number 1, the current reality. The messy, difficult, often painful facts of the situations. Not spiritual bypassing stuff. No toxic positivity. The reality. Secondly, the emergent potential. Who is this situation asking you and your organization to become? Most leaders collapse into one or the other. They either become cynical realists, buried in the how, or visionary dreamers who are out of touch with the now. Staying centered means standing in the gap between the two. It's about being truthful about the crisis while remaining loyal to the potential. That's where the real authority comes from. It's not about having the answers. It's about having the presence to stay in the room until the answers emerge. So what do you do with all this tomorrow? When the squeeze happens, and it will, don't try to fix the external problem immediately. Your brain is in threat mode and your solutions will be narrow. First, ground your body. Take 3 deep breaths, where the exhale is longer than the inhale. This tells your amygdala the predator has left the room. Secondly, ask yourself, what is the 2% shift? Often we freeze because we're trying to solve 100% of the complexity. Your brain can't process that. But it can process a 2% shift in your posture, your tone, and the next question you ask in a meeting. I want to leave you with a deep truth. The world is not going to get less complex. The VUCA storm is not going to pass. It's the new climate. The shift you're invited to make is moving from a leader who tries to control the world to a leader who inhabits themselves. When you are truly inhabited, when you are centered in your own presence, you come into right relations with the chaos. You become the person people look to, not because you have the perfect plan, but because you aren't afraid of the dark. You are steadier, not because the world is calmer, but because you have found the ground within yourself. If this has spoken to something in you, I'd love you to subscribe. Because on this channel, we'll explore leadership, identity, inner work, transition, and what it means to live and lead with more depth. If you're ready to move beyond performance polish into actual depth in your leadership, I'd love to walk that walk with you. I work with a handful of senior leaders to help them integrate these deeper patterns so they can lead with more wholeness and less strain. You can explore my work at pietropazzi.com. And if you're facing a specific developmental threshold right now, let's talk. You can book a 30-minute complimentary exploratory chat with me using the link in the description or on my website. Let's see what's trying to emerge in your leadership. I'll see you in the next video.